Hello students, today we're doing lesson 42 and that's on adding and subtracting like fractions. This is the first part of chapter 5. Chapter 5 is all about adding and subtracting fractions. So today we're going to learn how to do it with like fractions and we'll learn the unlike fractions later. So let's talk about what like fractions are. Like fractions are when you have the same denominator. So, and also when you are writing when you are listening to these videos, you need to be taking notes. So like fractions have the same denominator. And whenever you add or subtract fractions, you always need to have the same denominator. So today, all of ours are going to have the same denominator, so we don't have to worry about it too much. So let's say we have something like 3/8 plus 2/8. When I add these two, I'm going to add my numerators, and that's going to give me 5, and then my denominator stays the same. So we're going to add numerators, okay, and then denominators stay the same. I should have written add or subtract numerators. Remember, numerators are your top numbers and denominators are your bottom numbers. So that's this is a very simple problem that you would have if I had something like 5/7 minus 2/7. I'm going to do the same thing I did there, except this is subtraction, so I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3, and my denominator stays the same. So that's the most simple problems that you will have in your assignment. Now, what if you had something like 3/8 plus 2/8 plus 5/8? Okay, so I have a whole bunch of 8s there. We still have all the same denominators, so we're just going to leave the denominator the same. And then we're going to add up our numerators on the top. So we have 3 plus 2 is 5, plus another 5 is 10. Now you have to remember what we did from last chapter. So we're going to do a lot of what we did in chapter 4. We're going to be using those in our equations this chapter. So this is an improper fraction, like we had last time when the top is bigger than the bottom. So I need to change it into a mixed number. So you should remember how to do that. You say, how many times does 8 go into 10? Goes into it 1 time. That's your big number. I get 2 left over and 8 stays on the bottom. Once you've done that, change it into mixed number. You also might need to simplify your answer. So both of these can be divided by 2. So I still need to keep my whole number there. I have 1 and 1/4. And that's my answer for this problem. So if you are doing adding or subtracting, you may need to change to a mixed number and you may need to simplify. So we'll do some more like that in a minute. Okay, now that we've done some of those where we have, let's do one more. Let's have you do one. So this is on your own. I want you to write this down and then you're going to pause the video and do it on your own and come back to see me work it. Okay, so let's do 5/10 plus 1/10. So I want you to solve that, and then I want you to hit pause, solve it, and then hit play, and you can watch me solve it and see if you got the same answer. So hit pause now. Okay, now you should be back after solving this on your own. Your denominator stayed the same, 10, and then when you add your top numbers, 5 plus 1, you get 6. But 6/10 can be simplified or put into lowest terms. So to do that, I divide by their greatest common factor, which is 2, and I get 3/5. So that was your answer for on your own. If you got that right, good job. Okay, now let's do some where we have to rename some fractions with subtraction. So if I have a problem like 3 minus 1 and 5/8. Now, a lot of kids want to just bring down this 5/8 and write 5/8, but that's not the way you do these problems. In fact, it's not the way you hold on. It's not the way that you solve any kind of subtraction problem. If you have, hold on, I'm trying to find my pen. If I had nothing up here, there's nothing right here, you can't just take 5/8 away from nothing. That doesn't work. Okay, so it's just like if I had zeros in my, if I had something like 30 minus 58, you can't just bring down the 8, right? You have to borrow. So we're going to borrow, and that problem I did that wrong, but that's okay. You understand what I'm saying. So I need to borrow to figure out what goes in this spot right here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, but I have to borrow by using fractions. So if I take 1 away from here, so this becomes a 2, well, that 1 can become an 8/8 for a fraction. So if you simplify 8/8, or divide it, 8 divided by 8, that equals 1, right? So this 8/8 is 1, so the 2 plus 1 gives you this 3. So when you're borrowing, you're just going to take 1 away from the 3, take 1 away from your whole number, and then this number, numerator and denominator, will be the same as this number. So these are all the same, okay? So now I have 8/8 minus 5/8, and that's 3/8. And then over here I have 2 minus 1, and that's 1. So and that cannot be simplified anymore. So my answer is 1 3/8. Let's do another one like that with some different numbers to give you another idea of how to do this. 5 minus 2 and let's say 3/4. So I have nothing in this blank spot right here. So I need a fraction there because I can't take 3/4 away from nothing. So I'm going to borrow from the 5, and that makes this a 4. And in that 1 that I borrowed, I'm going to use this denominator and make it 4/4. So 1 can be any fraction, can be 4/4, it can be 5/5, it could be 10/10. It could be 800/800. All of these numbers equal 1. So I can make any number into a 1, just like I did here, and make it a fraction by putting it just one number over another number. And now once you do that, then you can subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. My denominator stays the same, and 4 minus 2 is 2. So my answer is 2 1/4. That cannot be simplified anymore. Sometimes it can, so if you feel like it can be simplified, then you need to make sure that you simplify it also. Okay, let's do one on your own like that and see if you can get the same, get an answer, get the right answer. Okay, so I'm just erasing some of my board over here. Okay, so this one is on your own. This is going to be a borrowing one where you have to borrow some numbers. Okay, so we're going to do 4 minus 1, and let's do 2/5. Okay, I want you to hit pause, and I want you to solve this on your own and then come back. Okay, was it easy enough for you to do? Did you have a hard time figuring out what to do first? Always ask yourself, can I take anything away? And if you have nothing there, you can't take it away. So we're going to borrow from the 4. When you borrow from a number, you're taking a number away from it, so that makes it 3. And then this fraction over here, you're saying, well, what am I supposed to put in these fractions? Okay, you use whatever the denominator is, because the reason I can change that all the time is because I want the same denominator. So if this is a 5 down here, I want a 5 right here. So that's why I make it 5/5. And now I subtract. 5/5 minus 2/5 is 3/5, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So my answer is 2 3/5. Hey, if you got that right, good job. If not, you may need to go back and rewatch the way I did those. But now I'm going to show you a different one where we're still going to be borrowing, but this time it does not have a big number on the top. I mean, it has a number on the top. So let's say I have 5 1/8, and I want to subtract from it 2 3/8. Okay, this is just like regular numbers. If I'm not going to do 1 minus 3, okay, that doesn't work. I can't take 3 away from just 1/8, right? So I'm going to borrow. When I borrow from the 5 this time, okay, remember that what I'm borrowing is 1, so that would be 8/8 is what I'm borrowing. But I already have 1/8 here. So that means that this changes, the 1/8 changes to 9/8 because I was borrowing 8/8 plus the 1/8 is 9/8. So now I have 9 minus 3/8 is 6/8 and 4 minus 2 is 2. Now before I say this is finished, I noticed here that these are both even numbers. Well, even numbers means that one thing it means is that they can both be reduced or simplified or put into lowest terms. So I'm going to divide both of these by 2. When I do that, I keep my whole number. Don't forget to bring that over. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now that's my final answer. I'm going to do one more like this, and then I'm going to let you do one on your own. And then we're going to be done with this lesson. Okay, let's do, let's say 9 and, let's see, I did 8ths on that one. Let's do 5ths. Let's do 2/5 minus 6 and 4/5. Okay, I can't take 4/5 away from 2/5. If I had 2/5 of a pizza, I can't take 4/5 away from it. So that tells me that I need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from the 9, and that makes it an 8. And now that extra number that I borrowed is 5/5 because this is a 5, right? And then 5 plus 2 is 7. Okay, so that's going to change to a 7. An easier way to do this than always writing this up here is you can just go 5 plus 2 is 7. If you borrow a number, then you can just go 5 plus 2 equals 7. And now I have 7/5 minus 4/5 is 3/5. 8 minus 6 is 2, and nothing can be simplified. So my answer is 2 3/5. Okay, let's have you do one on your own. And then that's going to be it for this lesson. Okay, on your own, let's do 6 and let's do a kind of easy one. 6 2/7 minus 1 3/7. Okay, so before you start working, you ask yourself, can I take 3/7 away from 2/7? No, I can't, so you need to borrow. Okay, so pause the video and try this one on your own. Okay, now that you should be back, when you borrow from the 6, that makes it a 5. And then all you do is go 7 plus 2 is 9. And now that's when I borrowed, that's what I do. And now I can subtract 9/7 minus 3/7 is 6/7, and 5 minus 1 is 4. So there is my final answer. Okay, before we leave, always remember to put everything into lowest terms at the very end. You don't always have to. Sometimes it's already in the lowest terms. But make sure that you look at that before you say, okay, I'm done with this problem. Always make sure it's in lowest terms. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow we will be working on adding and subtracting related fractions. So they will not have the same denominator, but they will be very easy to find the common denominator. Okay, so we'll see you next time.